Hello, I'm Kate Warren from Bright Life, and I'm here today to share with you a simple model that, as you begin to understand it, can really transform how you approach your relationships with people in both your working life and in your personal life. As you begin to think about the people that you work with, almost certainly you'll find that there are many people that you get along with and you find it easy to have good relationships with. And then there's the other people. Probably within your working life, there are some individuals that you maybe find that a little bit more challenging to develop rapport with, or that just don't seem to be that interested in working cooperatively with you. Well, understanding how to connect with those people is the premise of this little video today. Take a moment and imagine a continuum. So one end and another end. And let's think about how on one end of that continuum we have the people who are inherently cooperative. They're basically collaborative, accommodating, and want to get along with people. And at the other end of that continuum, we would have the people who are not inherently accommodating, not inherently cooperative, people who really prefer to work very, very independently and aren't particularly interested in or don't particularly value working closely with other people. So there's a continuum, and you can probably place yourself somewhere on that continuum, noticing that in some contexts you'll be more innately agreeable, and in other contexts you might feel, very independent and self-contained and not very cooperative. Well, here's an analogy to help you think about where people sit on that continuum and how it influences their behavior. And as we get started, I want to be clear. This is behavior. It's not people's personality or motivation. It doesn't make them a good person or a bad person. It's just behavior. It's just how they tend to act and behave and what that tends to get for them. So let's talk first of all about that inherently cooperative end of the spectrum. And the majority of you watching this video will sit somewhere towards that end of the spectrum. Here's an analogy for you. Think of a dog. Dog, a household pet. Now, I have 3 dogs, so I feel very able and well qualified to talk about this. A dog is an innately cooperative animal. When you call it, it comes. It's normally pleased to see people. It likes to have new experiences. If you want it to play, you show it a ball. If you tell it off, it's mortified that it's upset you. A dog is basically an agreeable animal. And dogs prefer to live in packs. They're social creatures. They want to live with you and be your pet. The analogy goes that a dog thinks, you give me food, you provide me shelter, you must be God, I worship you. Now let's think of the other end of the spectrum. Some of you watching this will share your home with a cat, as I do as well, and you will know that they are a different kind of critter. Cats are innately independent. They're not inherently cooperative. A cat will, if you call it, a cat will come if it feels like it and it's not too busy. A cat probably likes living with you, but it's hard to tell. It lives with you on its terms. If you want a cat to play with you, you can show it a toy, but it'll only play if it feels like it. And it's asleep most of the time, hard to get its attention, right? And so to continue our analogy, a cat thinks, you give me food, you provide me with shelter. I must be God and you must be my servant. So that's 2 ends of a spectrum. Now here's an idea for you. What if people are a little bit like that? What if the people who are more at the inherently cooperative end of the spectrum are basically interested in morale, relationships, giving satisfaction at work, doing a good job, producing work that's of a high standard, fitting into the larger community at work, and serving their business? All admirable. And what if at this end, the people who are maybe that little bit more cat people are interested in whatever they're interested in, are kind of doing their own thing, and respond to you when they feel like it? For most of us, the challenging people that we're needing to deal with at work sit at that cat end of the spectrum. And here's the key thing to understand. A dog wants you to like it. A cat doesn't really care. It's really fine whether you like it or not. You can use that analogy to start to sort the people that you come into contact with at work. Bearing in mind this is context specific, to think, with me, in their interaction with me or with my department, is this person more like a dog or more like a cat? And that's going to affect your expectations, what you bring to the table, and how you handle that individual. I'm guessing this has probably sparked your imagination. If you want to find out more and understand, well, that's all very well, but now what do I do in terms of how I act with my dog people and my cat people? You're going to want to come along to the Communicate Effectively course, where we're going to explore this in a certain amount of detail. So you'll get a whole lot of practical ideas about how you can flex your communication style and what you do so that you have a positive impact with both the dog and the cat people in your world. I hope this has been helpful. See you there.